Hey everyone, my name's Anna, and I will be your CY art geek for the next 8 or so minutes. Today we're talking about does art pay? While I'm drawing my avatar, because obviously I can't draw something serious and talk to you about money. Recently I found myself newly freelanced. Let's just say, well, not newly, I've been doing freelance as a side gig for some time, because living in 2021 and 2020, we all know that, well, you can't obviously have one source of income, especially if you're an artist. Jesus. So, I have found myself actually thinking about how I'm pricing my art and what people are willing to pay. Being originally from a Russian-speaking country, I, let's just say, entered two markets, an English-speaking one and a Russian-speaking one. And it's really hilarious how you see the drastic change between the prices. Thankfully now with NFTs and stuff, it's changing a little bit. People are willing to pay more for custom art, but at the same time, you work on a project with other artists and you hear from one of the, let's say, owners of the project that but I can get it cheaper from stocks, from from Shutterstock and similar websites. And obviously you try to explain them. Yes, but you're not paying for a stock image, which you can find in other places. You're obviously paying an artist because you want your own thing. You want to be different. You want to be custom. And it's hilarious how a lot of people don't really understand the value of custom art. And, well, my question is, does art pay? Yes, it does, but it does take you time to find people that value the process, because the process also pays. What do I mean by that? I've met two types of artists, and I'm kind of part of both. The first type charges by time. The second type charges by the actual project and changes, corrections, etc., etc., etc. Now, when you charge by time, it's pretty, how do you even say that? Well, it takes a lot of effort from the artist to track yourself. And working in freelance digital art, you're usually doing 2, 3, 4 projects at the same time. So you have to keep track of a lot of things. So a lot of artists prefer to charge, let's say, a fixed price for a project and then extra for corrections. Not everyone is willing to pay for corrections, by the way. And with places like Fiverr, which offer you much cheaper prices for, let's say, custom art, a lot of people really do go cheap. In Russian, we say that the cheap one pays twice, which is usually true, and you're lucky if you're going to pay twice. Now, my issue is that when people have huge projects and they usually have a budget and they employ several artists, they don't really try to spread it. They just think that, it's gonna be this. They don't take account for all the time the artist will spend discussing, research, corrections. And usually when they search for artists for said projects, people search cheaper options. Not to be disrespectful, but when you're planning a huge project, you should be planning, if a big part of it is visual, you shouldn't go cheap. No. It's like when you're creating a visual novel, or when you're creating an illustrated book, or when you're creating a game. You cannot go cheap, because that will reflect on your product more than if you go cheap on, I don't know, editorial, let's say. Once again, not to be disrespectful, every part of the project is very important, but we're looking at the final product. And if, let's say, 80% of the final product is visual, you cannot go cheap. And when people tell me that art doesn't pay, no, people don't pay. And because out of, let's say, 10 clients, 7 of your clients won't be willing to pay extra for corrections or won't be willing to bend a little bit because you obviously know better, you end up with a negative experience. So what I'm trying to do with my experience is to take the most positive out of it. And thankfully, so far, I got pretty lucky with most of my projects, with really understanding clients. But I'll be showing you guys some personal projects that I'm working on this channel. And it's going to be much more creative than anything I've done on a paid project. Like, paid projects for artists, being said, I mainly work with the Russian market right now. Paid projects are not boring, but people usually have a picture in their head which they cannot really explain. They try, and sometimes from day one we have like an 80 to 90% understanding of each other. But at the same time, you will find a shit ton of clients who never saw your style and are just expecting you to be able to draw everything, which is also incorrect. But we'll speak about that another time. So, does art pay? Yes, it does. It just takes time to find the correct clients. And unfortunately, your time will be spent mostly on research of market and clients, and sometimes that's not fun. So tell me in the comments if you're in freelance and what do you do? Do you do portraits? Do you do stickers? Do you do a little bit of everything? Or maybe you have your own shop. I do a little bit of everything, and I'll try to show you guys as much as I can of my daily routine right now with my shops and my orders, and as much as I can with my clients, because usually you sign an NDA, which I want to discuss as well separately. Well, see ya. Anna's out.